Welcome, everybody. My name's Cody. I will be your host this evening, and welcome to the Scholarship Info session. This afternoon, we're going to be going through a range of our scholarship options, including the fact that we do have one application process for most of our scholarships, and we do have a range of team members here to help answer all your questions. Now, just some basic housekeeping. You'll see at the top or bottom of your screen a Q&A button. If you do have any questions around scholarships, eligibility, entry requirements, or even about a program question, throw that into the Q&A. We have a team of UniSC professionals who are here to answer them all this evening. We also have two panelist team members who will be joining us later on. Stephanie, who is our scholarships coordinator, as well as Kristen, who is a paramedicine student who's actually received a range of scholarships and has relocated from Mackay down to the Sunshine Coast. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we work and live, and recognize the continuing connection to land, water, and community. We pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. So a little bit about UniSC. Many of you may know University of the Sunshine Coast quite well, but for those who don't, we are actually a multi-campus university. We do have a range of campuses that range all the way up to the Fraser Coast up in Hervey Bay, all the way down to Moreton Bay just outside of Brisbane. In between, we also have Gympie, Sunshine Coast, and Caboolture. Now, Sunshine Coast and Moreton Bay are what we call maybe our full service campuses. There are very large campuses, where Caboolture, Gympie, and Fraser Coast are a lot smaller, a lot more personalized, where you really do have a close connection to your academics. We also have the flexibility where a lot of our programs are available online. Those programs that we don't have available online do have a lot of online learning options available to them. So that means your contact hours and your face-to-face commitment on campus can be a little bit more flexible than maybe some other institutions. In the range of support services outside of scholarships, of course, we have so many options available to you. Academic and study support, careers and employment, health and well-being, financial support and scholarships, which we're going to talk about this evening, student groups and partnership opportunities, counseling, disability and equity, and our fantastic student success team. Now, if you do want to know more about those ones, especially I highly recommend digging into the careers and employment team. Visit us at usc.edu.au/support to find out how they actually work and how you can utilize these services that are all fee-free. Now I'm going to get Steph to jump on screen now. We're going to talk about how we can really help you study, and that is by giving you hopefully some money. Over to you, Steph.
Well, thanks, Cody. Hi, everyone. And thanks for coming tonight. I'm Steph, the coordinator of the undergraduate scholarships program here at UniSC. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about what sort of financial assistance is available, and then we'll take a look at the application process, including the application form, what types of documents we need from you, and just a few key points to remember. Now you can see on your screen, we have around $4 million to give away every year to our students, and around 1,500 of our students are supported by scholarships and bursaries every year. More than 90% of our scholarships and bursaries would have some kind of equity or financial hardship element to them. And of course, we just have one online application form that you can submit for most of our scholarships and bursaries on offer. So what's on offer? We have a wide range of scholarships available for our domestic undergraduate students from all walks of life, many different situations and different stages of their studies. Our awards generally range from $1,000 one-off payments to $40,000 ongoing scholarships. Funding comes from various government departments, individual donors, businesses, community groups and organisations, plus UniSC ourselves fund a number of scholarships. In study period 1, 2026, we should be looking at giving away around 700 individual awards from around 62 scholarships. So some scholarships and bursaries have multiple recipients. You can see listed here on the slide some of the different categories included, and you might fall into several different categories, and scholarships also can include a number of these factors in their eligibility and selection criteria. So we understand it can be a little overwhelming trying to figure out what you should be applying for and what you might be eligible for. Next slide, thanks. So at UniSC, applying for scholarships is easy. So we've set up our application processes to remove as much confusion and time-consuming eligibility checking and completing lots of application forms as we can. So here's just a few key points to remember. We hold 2 main rounds of scholarship applications each year. Scholarship applications open and close on the same dates each year. You can access the application form from our scholarship web pages, and you can see down at the bottom of the screen there's some buttons and links to look for, which will lead you straight to the application form when it's open. You only need to complete 1 application form for almost all scholarships and bursaries we have on offer for each study period. You don't actually need to have an offer to study with us before you submit a scholarship application. I know a lot of new students believe you have to have an offer, but you don't. So you can actually jump on and create an account if you don't have a student ID or a login already. Students don't need to know which scholarships they're eligible for. We do all the work in the background to put you forward for everything that you meet the requirements for. And you don't need to complete multiple forms. So now I'll just go through a few things to know about the application form. It's pretty self-explanatory and it will lead you through a series of questions like most forms do. Anything you answer yes to will trigger the form to request supporting documentation at the end, and it will tell you what types of documents will be required. As you can see here in the slide, in the light blue text fields, if you tick yes, that blue field will appear. Now, once you submit your application, we check your application, and if we need any more information, we'll email you. So now near to the end of the form, there is a page titled Optional Details. We do get inquiries about this, so I just wanted to highlight it for you. There are a few scholarships listed on this page. However, this isn't all we've got available. The listed scholarships on this page have an additional special requirement that none of the other awards have. For example, the third one down there, the Mills Family Regional Scholarship, is only for students who are relocating from Kingaroy or nearby areas. We're not going to ask all students if they're from Kingaroy. So the relevant students can just tick, yes, I want to apply for the scholarship, and will be asked to provide proof of their residence at the end. If you don't want to apply for any of these particular scholarships, you can just move on to the next page without ticking any boxes, and you'll be in the general application pool. So we do require supporting documentation. In order to complete the assessment of your applications, we rely on the documentation you provide. So a couple of tips here are to provide the full copies of documents, so your pay slip. Don't provide a partial document with just the amount you get, and probably not screenshots from your phone either, because it's sort of hard to identify you in those types of documents. So make sure your identifying details are included on pay slips, Centrelink statements, and other documents. And you can actually add more rows here if there aren't enough rows provided in the form. So most people will need to add some more rows to attach their proof of income documents, such as your pay slips, by just pressing the plus button there as shown. So this slide just shows some of the common documentation required for scholarship applications. these are just things you might need to attach as part of your application, depending on your responses to the questions. So you're not limited to these documents, and you might need to source other evidence. You can save and close your application and come back to it later if you need to. And all of this information is available on the website at the link below, plus the scholarship application form it will tell you the types of documents you need to provide. So just going over a few things to remember. Like I said before, you can access the application form via our web pages when it's open. You only need to complete one online form to make it easy for you, and that will put you forward for almost all of our scholarships and bursaries that are offered each semester. Apply for scholarships every study period that you're enrolled, as some scholarships are only for one semester and some are ongoing. If you don't get one this time, you might get one next time. You don't need to have an offer to study with us before you submit a scholarship application. You don't need to know what you're eligible for. You don't need to complete multiple forms, and make sure you submit your application by the closing date, as no applications or no late applications can be accepted. Now, there are some other scholarships available. These are mostly for students who sort of fall outside the general eligibility pool for our main round of scholarships. For instance, the honours scholarships listed here, these have a separate form and are only for students commencing in a one-year honours program after they complete a degree. Or say, for instance, the Asylum Seeker Scholarship, which is for international students on a temporary humanitarian visa. And you can find these scholarships by the links provided in the slide here. Sorry, Cody, are we going to be sending the slides out? So we may need to put the links into the chat.
Yes, a copy of the presentation will be sent, and obviously our scholarship links will be passed on with the post communications with the copy of the presentation.
All right, thanks. Now, we do also advertise a range of external scholarships, which are available from government departments, local community groups, and that are for postgraduate students. We don't administer these ones. We only provide the link to the information. So if you're interested, you'd need to go through the criteria for each one. And we've tried to group them into sort of study areas, so to make it easier for everyone. So to sum up, there is a lot of financial support out there. You just need to apply.
Thanks, Steph. And thank you for going through all the documentation requirements. As you can tell, it's quite easy. It's quite self-prompting to be able to get most of our scholarships, but also on the same scholarships page is where you can find our other scholarships, which we call individual applications, and third-party scholarships. Now, if I can get Steph and Kristen to jump online, we're going to have a conversation, I guess, around a few ideas around scholarships, but also from the audience, throw in your questions in now, and we're going to ask Steph and Kristen about those certain experiences. I know there's some questions around being a high performance athlete scholarships, and as well as we have some international students here as well inquiring. But first of all, just because Kristen, you are just jumping on, and we've already met Steph. Kristen, can you introduce yourself, what you're studying, and I guess a little bit about your background?
Yeah, hi, my name's Kristen. I'm a first year student studying a Bachelor of Paramedicine at our UniSC Sunshine Coast campus. Originally, I am from North Queensland, but after graduating high school at the end of last year and gaining early offer into UniSC, that was my entry pathway. I made the move down to the Sunshine Coast at the beginning of this year.
Fantastic. And just sticking with you there, I'm aware you've been eligible for a range of different scholarships already in your first year at university. Can you tell us a little bit more about those scholarships? Did you apply prior to starting? Have you applied for more scholarships since? Obviously, we do have intakes, 2 intakes a year. Can you tell us about your scholarships and how you were able to achieve those?
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to be eligible for scholarships in both my first and second semesters this year. I've applied all throughout the year. Internally through UniSC, I was lucky enough to receive bursaries in both the first and second semesters. So in the first semester, I was awarded a athlete rural bursary, so the Kate Allen Rural Athlete Bursary. And it was for my regional and sporting background. And in the second semester, I was awarded the equity bursary, which was based on financial state. I'm also very grateful to have received a number of external scholarships and funding opportunities outside of UniSC. So some of these have been from foundations who specialise in assisting regional and rural students to access education available for both high school and tertiary access students. So yeah, that's another one that was super awesome. And while I'm not able to receive any government funding through the Centrelink program, I was able to receive the tertiary access payment, which can be obtained by meeting criteria such as relocating for your first year of either a Cert 4 or tertiary course and living at least 90 minutes away from your home. I think it's by public transport. So yeah.
Thanks, Kristen. And just quickly before I jump over to Steph about diving into scholarships a little bit deeper, were all those like monetary scholarships like given to you in a lump sum, or are some of them? I know Steph was mentioning that we do have some scholarships where they're ongoing.
Yeah, so I had two of those were split in half. So I received one half in the first semester and one half in the second semester. And the bursaries through UniSC were a lump sum that I was just paid in the financial sector of that semester.
That's really amazing. And it's so good to hear that you've been able to actually receive more than one scholarship. And there has been some questions coming through saying, can I get more than one? Well, there is obviously eligibility if you are more eligible than one area, but also doing those individual applications and third party, looking up those third party offerings as well is something to keep aware of, because just because you received one doesn't mean you're not eligible for another. So that's really good to hear, Kristen. Now, Steph, we were hearing obviously how Kristen has received some scholarships that are ongoing and some that were just a bursary amount. Can you tell us a little bit more about, I guess, scholarships? Are they all monetary, as in like money put into your account? And just those ongoing scholarships, I'm aware, obviously, like Kristen just said, she received it split over 2 payments, as in semester 1 and semester 2, sounds like. Are there any scholarships that kind of go maybe longer, like maybe a 3-year program and every single semester are ongoing?
Yeah, so we have a range of different types of payment schedules, and each scholarship and bursary has its own payment schedule. So some scholarships are paid as a one-off lump sum in the first week of classes. Some scholarships are split into 8 payments over a semester. Those are generally just for one semester, but there is one or two that run over the course of your whole program. So you can rely on that financial assistance for your whole program. Some of our higher value scholarships, they are ongoing. Some will go for your entire program, and some might go over 2 study periods or 2 years even. So it really just depends on what you receive and what the criteria of the scholarship is. A lot of our awards are paid after the census date, each study period. So next year it will be after the trimester 1 census date. Most of our payments are made then. And we only have 2 awards that are actual fee waivers. So you'll receive most awards are paid as cash into your account, as they're meant to assist you with the cost of study. So things like study materials, laptops, fuel, food, rent, that sort of thing. And you can choose how that money is spent.
That's great, Steph. And that makes it probably really clear for the audience tonight, how they can use the scholarship and also what does that look like and how does it affect them. But on the same conversation, obviously monetary sums getting lump sum to your account, which helps so much, especially, it's a change of lifestyle going back and studying, especially it's usually like 30 hours a week of commitment in terms of balancing exams and classes, and it's pretty much like a full-time job. Can you let us know now, do scholarships affect other support services or like financial aid, like youth allowance from Centrelink, for example?
Um, well, generally, no. However, um, I can only give you the information that is available on the Centrelink site, which you can find yourself. So for 2025, the threshold for merit and equity-based scholarships is $10,094 you can receive before it affects your payment. So say for instance, you receive a $40,000 ongoing scholarship that's paid in $5,000 lump sums per semester, that wouldn't affect your payments, but I would recommend contacting Centrelink just to make sure on your individual circumstance. Also, external scholarships, in our team, we don't look at your external scholarships. However, I have heard that some external scholarships will ask you if you're receiving something else. So that would also be, you would have to find out the individual criteria for that particular award.
Thanks, Steph. And that's really good advice. And Centrelink would be the party where you would need to check with them. We unfortunately don't manage Centrelink payments or schemes or the connection with the university. We do report, but that is outside of our scope, I guess. Now, Kristen, over to you. You've obviously received a range of scholarships. How have you used this to, I guess, improve your university experience? You're obviously coming to the end of your first year. How have you used it to support your education experience?
Yeah, so for me, I've been lucky enough, like I said earlier, to receive these. So through those, I've been able to fund many of my education expenses like study equipment, student placement expenses. So for me, that's been uniforms, mandatory checks, doctor's appointments and serologies and that sort of thing. And I've also been able to have, I guess, cash in hand and savings to alleviate some stress during exam periods or really busy study periods. To have some money saved away if I need to drop back on my part-time job during that time. I have that money put aside there to pay for things like living expenses and rent, food, fuel, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and especially programs like nursing and maybe paramedicine, where you do have placement blocks, saving for those experiences are really important. Now, we do have some scholarships that are around that sort of placements and bursaries. Steph, would you be able to like talk about maybe just one or two of those examples around placement bursaries and how they work?
We do have a few scholarships which are dedicated to particular study fields for students who are going on placement, and that they will probably be more towards the end of your degrees when you're doing the high levels of placements. But in general, we do have our UniSC study support bursaries, and we do consider your time taken in placement in our assessment for those types of bursaries, and also the equity bursary as well. We consider that as part of your financial hardship criteria. So there's placement can be counted for many different awards.
Fantastic. Now, before I go out to the audience, and just a reminder, if you do have any dying questions, please throw them in the Q&A box. But I think a really big one, and Kristen would love your advice on this because I'm sure you had to do this as well, is what do you think helps make your application or personal statement really stand out? Is there anything you wish you knew before applying? And I'll go over to you, Kristen, first, and then Steph, definitely would love your professional response.
Obviously, as we said earlier, the application process being so simple and straightforward, only putting one application through made it a lot easier and a bit less, gave me a bit less anxiety, I suppose, reaching out for that sort of support. So I really appreciated that. And then having the opportunity to continue that application process each semester, it actually just got simpler and simpler, which was really good. In terms of strengthening my application, I did apply for one where I had to write a short 250 words about myself and why I would be eligible for that scholarship, and that was one of those special ones that we talked about earlier. And I guess going forward into that, I just would probably think about your strengths, talk about yourself, be honest, and just, yeah, tell your story as it is, because everyone has a great story, and that's exactly what I'm sure Steph will confirm is what the team wants to hear, is who you are and about yourself. So, yeah.
Thanks, Chris. And I think that attests to, I guess, the opportunities you've had at the university now being a student ambassador, where Kristen actually gets to go out to fellow high schools and talk about her study experience and talk about her great time at the university and the access and opportunities she's received. And Steph, over to you. Do you have any advice when it comes to developing a personal statement?
Yeah, so Kristen sort of knocked the nail on the head. So we do require a personal statement in all applications. It doesn't have to be long, but this is for the additional statements as well. I would suggest include any extracurricular leadership, community activities, or anything of that type or nature, no matter how small. Include examples to strengthen your statement. And with the rise of AI, we're seeing a few more statements written with AI, and you can kind of tell. So maybe avoid using AI to write your statement for you, as it sounds good, but it lacks substance and real life examples. And not to mention, it will sound like everybody else's AI application as well. So personalize it, like Kristen says. Another thing is make sure you include all of the required documentation, as we can't assess what we don't have. But yeah, the main thing is just submit your application by the closing date.
Thanks, Steph. Now,
sorry, and one more point. Sorry, sorry, I did not forget. Try not to leave your application to the very last minute, because a lot of people do. And this year, the applications will actually close on a Sunday. So there'll be no staff around to help you over the weekend. So if you can get your application started and in as soon as you can, then it's done and you won't have any problems.
that's a really good point, especially when it comes to supporting docs. And sometimes they may seem really easy, but for some people, they might be something that they just really want to get right and just need confirmation. So don't leave it to the last minute. I'm sure we could all learn that in life across many examples. Now, Steph, I think this is a really simple one, which was, can current students apply for scholarships, and can they apply anytime throughout their degree as long as applications are open?
Yeah, so we encourage all students to apply every semester, or sorry, every study period that they're enrolled. So your eligibility for different scholarships will change over the course of your program. Some scholarships are for commencing students, but we do have a lot for continuing students at different stages of their degree. So maybe you're not eligible for one, but in second year you will be. And and you can actually receive some bursaries or scholarships multiple times. Say, for instance, our equity bursary, if you apply each semester, you will be put into the eligibility for that or considered for that bursary every semester, and you can get it multiple times.
That's a really good one to know. Obviously, just because you received it once doesn't mean you're not eligible to receive it again. Now, you might not get it, but if you don't apply, you'll never know. This is a really good question, and something I've never considered is that obviously with QTAC preferences, you get 6 preferences. And for example, we have a student here who originally applied for the Bachelor's Business and applied for a scholarship, but now has changed their QTAC preference to do International Sports Management. Very like-minded programs, but how does that affect their scholarship application? Do they need to redo their scholarship application? Any advice for that?
No, so whatever your preferences are, if you're a new student, even if you select a program that you think you're going to go into and then you change your mind. It won't actually matter because we will check. We do a lot of checking in the background and we will pick up the actual enrolled program and put you forward for anything that you might be eligible for. A lot of our scholarships are not course like program related, so they anyone doing any degree can be eligible.
Fantastic, Steph. Now, this is I think this is a good one because it's coming up a few times. Is where do we find the application number? Is it your student ID? Now, obviously, as you mentioned, some students might not even have an application number just yet. How do they get past this section, or what advice can you provide?
All right, so if you haven't applied, don't worry. You can just put in 10 zeros. I know it's it's sort of a workaround. So if you haven't actually applied to study with us, it doesn't matter. So there is a sort of a prompt in the form at the first page that will tell you if you don't have an application number to just put in the 10 zeros. So you can bypass that.
Fantastic. Now, I can see we actually have a lot of international students who are looking to study with us and looking at scholarships. And Steph, I don't know if international scholarships are a part of your remit or you have much knowledge. Now, for a lot of the students, and Steph, please provide advice as well. For a lot of the students or prospective students who are here tonight and want to know more about international scholarships, our team will throw in some website links in the group chat. Now, those show all our international scholarships as well as our international team as well. Connect with them, talk about your individual circumstance. We have a fantastic international team that will look after you, connect with you and possibly your agent, and be able to kind of work out your circumstances from there. Tonight's is all about our domestic scholarships. But yes, we do have a range of amazing international scholarships available to you, including discounting and fees, which is a really popular one. Steph, do you have any further advice for maybe prospective international students who are attending tonight?
We do have a couple of scholarships that are open to international students. They are quite specific in their criteria, but they are also advertised on the International Scholarship webpage, which I'm sure you'll be providing the links to.
Fantastic. This is another one that's coming up a couple of times, which is if I'm not looking to study until 2027, can I still apply for scholarships now? I'm assuming, and I'm just going to make the assumption that our scholarships that are open right now that close on November 30th are all for study period or trimester 1, 2026. Is that right?
That's right. So if you do apply, but you have no enrollment or or you're not admitted, you won't be considered. So to apply for scholarships, you don't need an offer, but to get an actual payment, you do have to be enrolled eventually next year. So if then you would considering studying in 2027, you would then apply for that particular study period for scholarships.
Fantastic. Now, I love this question here. We have a question from Elizabeth, and I know a couple of students who have actually received scholarships like this. Elizabeth is currently looking to study a nursing degree and is very interested in working in remote and regional. However, there are a lot of expenses obviously involved going remote and regional. Like you can't work, you're leaving your home, you might have to find accommodation options. Can you highlight any amazing scholarships that you're off the top of your head? Now, I know there's so many scholarships,
Yeah.
but first or foremost, to go remote or regional, you need to complete an application, which for placements mostly at UniSC, they're designed to be within proximity of 1 hour of your home. If you are wishing to go regional or remote, which is a fantastic opportunity, it is a formal application. And with that formal application, there are opportunities of a range of different scholarships or bursaries that are designed to help you and alleviate the stress of taking on those amazing chances. Steph, can you provide any more examples or a scholarship off the top of your head that might be suitable for a student like this?
Yeah, so we do have, sorry, a scholarship called the Helen Hall Rural and Remote Health Placement bursary. I think that's the name of it, pretty long name, but it's specifically for students in health degrees who are traveling to regional or remote destinations to complete their placement. We also, we do have donor funds that come in sometimes for a particular program or area of study. For instance, this year in 2025, we had an amazing donor who came in and said, I want to support paramedic students who are traveling a far distance from their home to complete their placement. And she donated $150,000 to give $35,000 scholarships for that purpose. So the scholarships will change, and depending on the funding available will depend on what's available to you. But also for placement, like I said, we consider the hours of placement in our assessment for the financial need criteria. So you could be considered for our general study support or equity bursaries as well.
Fantastic. And Steph, another one for you. I'm keeping you really busy this afternoon, but these are all questions that I'm like, actually, that's a really good point. I've never thought about this. When do you find out you've received a scholarship, and how do you get notified?
Okay, so all notifications will come via email to your student email and your personal email that you've got in our system. We hold selections for every scholarship that we have. So you can imagine it takes quite a long time to get through all of the selections. So for study period 1, 2026, we will let you know at the very latest, by Friday, the 27th of February, if you've received something. You may get an offer earlier, depending on when we're selecting, when the panels are held. We've got to organise panel members and everything, but all of the conditions of the scholarship and everything will come to you via an email, and you'll need to read through all of the conditions and accept.
And do you know what proximity of dates would that be? For example, these applications that close on November 30th, when do scholarship offers start rolling out?
Late January. So we can't tell you if you've got one, even if maybe you know someone who's received something. We have multiple offers going out all the time, and so we will always just tell you at the end of February is when you'll find out, because we even send offers out on the very last day. So depending on what you're eligible for, when the panel is being held, it will be within late January to the end of February for study period 1, and it will be the end of August for study period 2.
Fantastic. And I think I'm just going to go to one more. A lot of these questions that are coming through are quite personalized in what they're trying to seek out of their study experience and scholarship. Is that if I am a high performance athlete, how is this assessed? Now, I think that's quite defined because we've got a couple of different scholarships in this range. But more importantly, is it for any sport, or is it specific sports that are recognized?
No, so it's for any sport, and this goes out to an external panel. So what you need to provide for this one is a statement listing your sporting achievements, and it will be rated, I'm pretty sure, on how high your achievements are and how your ability in the sport to continue moving upwards. And yeah, so this one's really an external panel. I'm not a sports person, so it is selected externally.
No problem. What I recommend for anyone who is seeking out a high performance athlete scholarship, or even a scholarship like what Kristen received, jump on our website, check out the scholarships that are available in that sort of remit. If you do have further questions, then obviously just follow contact our inquiries team, and they'll be able to give you eligibility required. If it's not as clear as you would like on the page. They are pretty clear. They usually put out the clear parameters of that eligibility. However, you can always call our Student Central team. We'll show their number at the end, but it's the same number on the website as well. And you can contact them anytime, Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. Now, this is something that I've always considered is we do have some students who may be feeling that they live in a remote area, such as Sunshine Coast or Moreton Bay. If there are students who live near our campuses, what campuses are classified as maybe a regional campus?
So we've got two regional campuses. There's the Fraser Coast campus and the Gympie campus. They're the ones classified by the Australian Bureau of Statistics as in a regional area.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind that I am aware of that there is, although you may live on the Sunshine Coast, which is not a regional campus, you can apply for a regional campus, and there are a handful of destination scholarships off the top of my head that if you do apply for a regional campus like Gympie, for example, to wish to study there. I know, for example, there's some students who live maybe in Noosa or Pomona, where Gympie may almost be halfway between Sunshine Coast campus and the Gympie campus, and that might be an option for you if you are seeking out possibly those unique scholarships. Not to say that you're going to get them, but there are some unique scholarships available for choosing a regional location versus a metropolitan location.
Just add, just check the eligibility for the Destination Australia scholarship, because you do have to be living in a regional area as well. There's a few criteria around that one, but that's available. You can apply for that one on the optional details page, submit an individual statement for that one.
No problem at all. Thank you so much, Steph. I think that is all the formal questions for the evening. We are going to stick around for an extra 10 minutes answering any leftover Q&A in the chat box because a lot of them are quite individualized circumstances. So we will try to get back to you guys all as fast as possible before we finish up for the evening. We just want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you, Kristen. I hope you've really enjoyed your study experience so far at UniSC and hope to see you on the Sunshine Coast campus where I'm also based. I think, Steph, you're up at Fraser Coast, and then some of the rest of our team are all based down in Moreton Bay. So we have a team that's pretty much across all our locations, which is really cool to see. Thank you, Steph, for joining us this evening. If you do wish to engage with us further, or you do have further questions around scholarships, applications, course entries, or anything like that, we have a fantastic team at Student Central on 075430 2890, or you can just send them an email at information@usc.edu.au. Now, if you have never been onto one of our campuses and planning to study with us next year, or you haven't made an application just yet because you just don't know if, university might be right for you until maybe going onto the campus and talking to someone, you can actually book in a campus tour with one of our study advisors where they can walk and talk and show you the facilities, especially if you are doing a program maybe like engineering or nursing, where there are quite hands-on facilities available to you. They're quite practical degrees, just like the job itself. And you can actually just jump on our website and book a guided tour today. You'll find a banner across most of our university pages where it says book a guided tour or a 30-minute study advisor consult, and book in a campus and time that suits you and catch up with one of our study advisors. Now we're going to log off for the rest of the evening. We're going to stick around, answer any Q&A, but for the rest of you guys, have a great night. I hope you enjoy dinner and hopefully see you on campus soon. Thank you very much, everyone.